Hello again, thanks for joining. Today we've got two coaches to look at. It's the battle of the old Piko models. The one at the top here is from Prefo and it's in this orange box. You'd think it might be a Metropa dining car, but it actually isn't, and I'll show you what it is in a minute. And the one below is in Piko packaging and it's a Deutsche Reichsbahn coach. It is actually that one. I believe both of these were made before the fall of the Berlin Wall, so sometime in the 80s. The Prefo one is older, I believe. Correct me in the comments below if I'm wrong. I'm going to see if there's any difference between these two coaches and which one is better. So let's get them open and I'll start off with the Prefo one. So on the end of the box here you can see the model number and it's also a Riesenzugwagen, which I think is just passenger car of the Deutsche Reichsbahn, and it's a B4GE model. And also below there you can actually see, in German anyway, it says it's illuminated, which is interesting. The model also comes with a little piece of paper here with some destination boards printed on it. These you've got to cut out and stick on yourself. They're not transfers, but it's good that you've got some degree of customization on the destinations there. And here is the coach model. It's actually a really nice coach. It's got a nice feel to it. It's almost like a satin finish, and it's got this plain grey roof as well. By today's standards, this is actually showing its age a little bit. The detail on it isn't great, but we do have an additional part on the end here, and we've got little red markers as well. The buffers are down here are just moulded into the chassis piece, but the glazing is flush fit, and it does have these silver surrounds, which are really nice. The toilet one there is blocked out in white, and you can see that it has a 2 there for second class and some other printing on the side of it, which is actually really quite clear. If I move to the centre, you can see the DR and the running number of this coach, all very clear and nicely printed on it. This is where you can apply the destination board, obviously. And down this end of the coach, we've got some grills and hatches on the roof, but it is actually a pretty plain roof, but there isn't any moulding marks on it, and the finish is actually really quite good. We do have steps here moulded into the chassis plastic, and underneath we have an additional part added in here. This one looks as though it's a little bit broken, but this model is getting on a bit. You can see that these have been added in extra pieces, and we have these tanks here added on, and these boxes are part of the moulding, which has some bracing as well. You can see it's held together with screws. There's one here and one down here. The wheels have got really big flanges on them, just very typical of the time, but they do revolve really well. A little bit dirty though, and they are starting to corrode a little bit. And the bogie is fixed to the chassis with this little metal stud on a spring and slider here. So that's going to be able to pass power into the lighting inside this coach. Got a metal coupling hanging out the front here, and that is cantilevered on the bogie as well. And inside we have compartments moulded in the grey plastic. On this side of the coach you can see that some of the paintwork is coming off here. I thought this was actually moulded in green plastic, but it looks as though it's moulded in black and the green has been painted on and it's coming away there a little bit. So this is an older model. You got to expect some damage. It is a second-hand model as well, but it is faring pretty good, especially on the roof. I do like how some of the windows are open, like this one here and this one here. Adds a bit of variety as well. Let me just put some power onto this and see if the lighting still works. So I'm just going to prod this with these wires to see if it will work. I'm using my H&M controller on 12 volt DC to see if it actually does illuminate. So let's give it some juice, see what happens. Well, that's good news, it actually still works. It's just 2 bulbs inside there on the roof that are providing the illumination, so it's a bit crude, but it still does work, so that's quite interesting. I'm going to put this on the scales before we have a look at the Piko one and check out how much it weighs. So this coach comes in at 167 grams. So we're going to move on to the Piko one now. This is a much sturdier box, and you can see the part number down here, still made in the GDR. Anyway, let's get this open and we'll check it out. So you can see it's a first and second composite compartment coach, again from the Deutsche Reichsbahn. But immediately you can see there's quite a lot of differences between that and the earlier coach. So we've now got a shiny roof. There are some ridges on it and some vents moulded in and a hatch at this end. And at the end of the coach we still have the little add-on bits for the gangway. There's glazing there as well on the doors, and we have the little red markers inside here. Again, the buffers are moulded into the main chassis piece. And looking down the side, the first obvious thing is the first class yellow stripe, which is really not very well printed at all. However, the one for first class and also the Deutsche Reichsbahn are very clear. There's some printing down here on the chassis as well, and we've got a little bit of white paint on these parts here. But I would say that the printing isn't as good as the older Prefo one. Flush fit glazing on this with just a single silver metal bar. There's no silver surrounds, and inside we've got quite a bright yellow piece of plastic for the compartments. We do get seating there. There's a little bit more detail on these than on the other coach. And further down, this has got the destination board attached. You don't get a piece of cardboard with this one to customize it. And it even has a little bit of paint here on the door handle and the little handrail, although that is actually coming off a little bit too. Underneath, the previous pieces, which were added extra pieces, are now just molded into the main piece of plastic at the chassis, but it does have more ridges on here, a bit more detail, but it's all a one piece now. So obviously corners have been cut a little bit. When you come to the bogies, they're now attached with plastic and they move around a little bit. The wheels are this silver colour, very bright, but they are tarnishing a little bit, but they do revolve really well. And the coupling is now in a NEM pocket and it is permanently attached to the bogie. This part of the bogie does move up and down, helps you get over rough track, but there's no pickup on this one at all and no interior lighting. So let's compare the weight by putting this one on the scales as well. So the Piko coach comes in at 144 grams. So I do find it very interesting to compare these two. I believe that the front one here, the Piko one, is more modern than the one at the back, but you can see that it has been made a lot cheaper. The printing isn't quite good, the plastics used aren't as good either, and it's lacking even some of the detail that the other coach has. The bogies attach really badly as well, and there's no lighting either. Whereas the Prefo one seems just like a more mature product. Even though it's quite an old model now, it still, I think, would pass fine on a model railway even today. Yes, neither of these coaches are up to today's standards in terms of detail and finish, but they're certainly passable. So my recommendation here obviously is the Prefo one. I think these two coaches come in around about the same price on the second-hand market. So if you see the orange boxed Prefo one, then that's the one to go for, I would say. That said, the Prefo box does have a picture of a Metropa coach on it, so it's not indicative of what you're actually going to get inside. Well, most of the time. So that's something to be aware of. Anyway, let me know what you thought of these two coaches in the comments below. Have you got a favourite between these two? And if you want me to compare like for like on any other types of coaches, just let me know as well. Thanks for watching this one. I'll put the winner, the Piko one, on the turntable so you can see all the way around. And in a moment, another video will appear. So if you click on that, I'll see you over there. Thanks for watching this one though. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.
So model trains, model worlds, choo-choo, model trains, in tiny worlds, choo-choo, model trains, tiny trains, model worlds, choo-choo, model trains, in tiny worlds, choo-choo.